call this meeting of the Las Vegas Citizens Advisory Committee to the Las Vegas Redevelopment Agency to order at this time. The City of Las Vegas Citizens Advisory Committee to the Las Vegas Redevelopment Agency, City Hall, 495 South Main Street. City Clerk's second floor conference room, City of Las Vegas, internet address www.lasvegasnevada.gov. We will begin our agenda January 23rd, 2017. So happy New Year to everybody. The items listed on the agenda may be taken out of order presented. Two or more agenda items for consideration may be combined, and any item on the agenda may be removed or related discussion may be delayed at any time. Backup material for this agenda may be obtained from Lou Ann D. Holmes, the City Clerk, at the City Clerk's office at 495 South Main Street, second floor, or on the city's webpage at www.lasvegasnevada.gov. Call to order. We've done the call to order. The announcements, are we in compliance with the open law? Yes, we are in compliance. And the third one, public.
Madam Chair, may I do
I'm sorry.
Roll call, please.
Roll call.
Chair Mathis.
Present.
Vice Chair Mack.
Here.
Member Zarowski.
Present.
Member Kovacs is excused. Member Sylvain.
Here.
Member Dykes also is excused. Member Jones.
Present.
Member Clark is also excused. And Member Palacios.
Here.
We have a quorum.
We have a quorum.
Thank you.
We'll move on to number 3 on the agenda. Public comment during this portion of the agenda must be limited to matters on the agenda for action. If you wish to be heard, give your name for the record, the amount of discussion as well as the amount of time any single speaker is allowed may be limited. We have none. We see no one. Number 4, for possible action to approve the final minutes by reference of the regular meeting of December 5th, 2016. Do I have a motion?
Member Mack, I make a motion that the minutes from December 15th, 2016 be approved.
Okay. The motion has been made and properly seconded to receive the December 5th, 2016 minutes. All in favor, please state yes. Aye.
Yes.
Opposals? No. And one extension?
Yeah, I was here, so.
One extension. Okay. Motion accepted. The 5th, discussion for possible action regarding the 2017 Citizens Advisory Committee to the Las Vegas Redevelopment Agency meeting schedule. Members? Any discussion on either changing our time, our date,
So
it's working for us today.
So you meet every, what's the schedule? I'm sorry.
Third Monday every other month.
The third Monday of every month, of every other. It's not every month.
Jeff Medici,
Thank
Economic
you.
Development for the record, yeah, third Monday of every other month is the regularly scheduled meeting dates.
Any more discussion or questions?
Seems like we're used to that one.
We're pretty used to it. We're here today. That's called yes. Progress.
Do you feel like in the summer, like maybe, I know it's harder for me in the summer to make a meeting, I don't know if that's the case for everybody,
Let's work through the spring,
but.
and then we can see what
We
happens.
can discuss the summer.
Because I'm trying to think, when did, in the summer, have we met during a summer, like a June or July? I don't remember. I don't think so.
Like it's harder to get the quorum in the summer, but it seems like a lot of work you guys are doing to put these together, so feel like we can't, maybe we should just do one in that 4-month period rather than two type of thing there.
So we will discuss further as we get closer. Is that okay? While we're discussing times, and we want to take this opportunity to welcome our new member, and his name is Craig Palacio.
Yes. Thanks for having me with that.
We're very happy to have you. Okay. All right. We'll move on.
We need a motion to accept the schedule.
We have talked about the schedule, we discussed it, so as of now, we will leave it as it is that correct?
Do you need it?
So may I have a motion?
I'll make a motion that we continue the schedule as it is, with the possibility of changing later.
Second? It's been moved and properly second, all in favor?
Aye.
Yes. Aye. Opposers? No abstentions. Thank you. So we will leave it as it is, with the thought that we will discuss it later, especially during the summer, or the upcoming summer months, okay? All right, thank you. Our next agenda item, report from Julie Quisenberry. Julie, real estate specialist regarding planning residential projects in the redevelopment area. Julie?
For the record, Julie Quisenberry, Economic and Urban Development. Thank you for having me. Happy New Year to all of you. Before we talk about planned development in the residential and the redevelopment area, let's talk about what the residential offerings are in downtown and the redevelopment area. And they may look very different than today's master plan community. Downtown has small micro houses, Airstream trailers, urban loft townhomes, for sale and rent, high-rise luxury apartments, rental apartments which include motel conversion to a mid-rise modern complex, all the way up into and including a large ranch-style home, which may or may not be in a historic preservation neighborhood. Residential development's been a little slower in the downtown area than we would have liked. However, market conditions have impacted residential development valley-wide and across the U.S. for probably 5+ years now. So I think we're all aware of that. What are the barriers to some of the residential development in downtown Las Vegas? So we talked to several of our downtown residential developers. They cited items like the price of land downtown versus the suburban outlying area, cost of high-rise construction versus mid-rise wood frame construction can be up to 30% higher, homelessness and crime, whether real or perceived, need for new infrastructure, lighting, sidewalks, green space, amenities you may find in your suburban neighborhood. And then also the ability to assemble enough land to yield the desired number of units. There is some good news. If you refer to your handouts, which begin with the completed downtown residential projects on top, if you go to the second page of your handout, you should see Fremont 9. Let me know when everybody gets there. So I'm going to refer to the map over here, and I know the numbers aren't quite large enough for everybody to see from where you're sitting. So what we're going to do is walk by district and by number. So if you look at number 1 over here, you are in the Fremont East District, and this is Fremont 9. The developer is Downtown Project. Can you see okay?
Yeah.
Downtown Project and the Wolf Company. Opening in the fall of 2017, the project features 231 units, including 5 live-work units and 15,000 square feet of ground-level retail and a rich amenity package. Downtown Project has several residential projects in downtown Las Vegas, from a 230 square foot micro unit to a 2-bedroom apartment, and they range from $650 to $1,200 per month. For more information on Downtown Project residential development, see downtownliving.vegas. Number 2 on our map is the urban loft townhomes. Now these are fee simple 3-story townhomes, and they start at $265,000. That should be next in your handout. Urban Lofts is almost completely sold out at 11th and Carson. The next development is going to be off my map here, but it's going to be at Fremont and Eastern. That'll be the next coming soon urban loft townhome development downtown. Now, if you head down to the Arts District, number 3, Big Block Partners, and there should be a rendering of that. That's it. That's correct. Jeff, if you can hold that up, make sure everybody's on the right page. Thank you, Scott. Big Block Partners LLC is developing at the northeast corner of 3rd and Charleston. Today, if you drive down there, it's the boarded up Mona Lisa Apartments. So that should get you oriented to where we are. They're developing 48 1- and 2-bedroom units with a courtyard amenity, a rooftop garden, and they're targeting the millennials, so who will be utilizing public transportation, the bike lanes, and all of the infrastructure being developed around that 3rd and Charleston intersection. Estimated completion is scheduled for fall of this year. Now we'll move on to number 4 on the map, which is the Royale. So a lot of residential development happening in the Arts District. You can see these clusters start to happen on these maps. The Royale is located at the northeast corner of Casino and Coolidge. Casino Coolidge LLC is proposing a 20-story mixed-use apartment hotel. That would be an apartment and a Staybridge Suites business hotel with ground-level retail and second-floor office space. And I think they're going to do around 15,000 square feet of retail and then 15,000 square feet second-level office. Right now, there's some small cottages on the site if you drive over there, and the developer is scheduled to begin their site work and demolition of those cottages in the next 90 days. So stay tuned and keep your eye on that. You'll see demolition to begin. Number 5 on the map, also in our Arts District, is Oak Brook Realty. Oak Brook Realty is in the planning stages for 2 towers, 498 units. One tower is planned as market rate in senior housing, and at market rate, and then the second tower is senior housing, located at the southwest corner of Hoover and Casino Center. The 12-story north tower of the site is planned for senior housing with 8,000 square feet of commercial, and the south tower, you got the right page there, Jeff?
Thank you.
South tower, planned at 14 stories, is market rental units with ground floor commercial. There's also a parking garage estimated at 12 stories with 465 total spaces. They're going to offer rooftop restaurant, pool, fitness center, and discussions for a dog park. Estimated completion is 2018. This project, my understanding, is still in the financing stages. A lot of these projects that you'll see are either in the planning stage or they're in the coming out of the ground construction phase. Number 6 on your map is Symphony Park, and you should see a Newland Communities brochure and a Symphony Park map. That should be your part of the handout. Newland Communities residential development is developing on Parcel C in Symphony Park. They proposed a 300-unit mixed-use development featuring 15,000 square feet of ground-level retail. Units will range from studio to 2-bedroom. Estimated construction start will be the 3rd quarter of this year. So you've heard a lot about 2017, 2018, so really good news on the construction and construction start times. Over on 7 and 8 are in the medical district. And these projects are in the very early planning discussion stages, so they are not in your handout. There's no rendering or anything to correlate with those. These are just discussions that we're having with the developers. So number 7 here on Charleston is a mixed-use residential development just west of Shadow Lane, proposing 150 plus residential units with ground floor retail. Very early discussion stage. Number 8 on the map is a 100,000 square foot mixed-use development planned at the southeast corner of Pintail and Tonopah. However, the private medical group has not determined number of units, retail offerings, any of that yet. And not on this map, but just as an FYI, 1501 North Decatur, the property is owned by the redevelopment agency. Redevelopment agency is in negotiations on a proposal for 2 4-story apartment towers, clubhouse, and 2 commercial retail pads fronting Decatur. And Scott, maybe you can help me with the status on the environmental. Can you help me with that?
So on the records for the Nevada Division of Environmental Protection, there's been some contamination on the site because of a Jiffy Lube, and I think there was a dry cleaners nearby. I know the Jiffy Lube for certain, so it's very localized, and it hasn't been remediated. We've been monitoring the groundwater, but the groundwater has dropped enough that they can't get a significant sample that would qualify for a test. So we've hired a consultant who is re-drilling a couple of wells deep enough to get sufficient water to take a test and to show how Mother Nature has been naturally breaking down that contamination, report back to the state, and if the information supports closing it, then we'll process that paperwork through the state. If the state says no, it hasn't, Mother Nature hasn't broken it down enough, then during development, we would have to remediate whatever contaminated soil and contaminated water we encounter. So the consultant we have out there created a plan for drilling the wells, taking the tests, doing the report, and then based on the results of, or the state's decision on the report, they will create a plan on how to deal with the contaminated soil and water when it's encountered during construction. My name is Scott Carter. I'm the asset manager for the City of Las Vegas Economic and Urban Development Department.
Thank you, Scott. Also in your handouts are market reports, and we use a lot of information in economic and urban development. The first report is North Cap Commercial, and the reason I call your attention to North Cap manages several of the high-rise properties in the downtown area. And Jeff, if you can show that to everybody so we got the right report in their hand. They manage properties such as Jewel, the Ogden, Newport Lofts, and a lot of the other high-rise product types. They're showing a median condominium rental rate for a 1-bedroom of approximately 1,014 square feet at $1,572 a month, or $1.55 a square foot. The second one is UNLV Lead Institute report, and that would be the red report. And that should be your apartment market trends for the fourth quarter 2016. They were reporting an average rental rate in the 89101 zip code at $631 per month, which seems low, but I can look into that. Greater Las Vegas Association of Realtors, they provide statistics on single-family, condominium, townhome sales, and other ongoing market. The Association of Realtors, I really like that because if you hold up that map for me, they have a really nice color-coded map with all of the different rental rates, and they do it in color coding that's really easy to follow. A lot of those are quarterly reports that we rely on from these different sources. Economic and Urban Development has its own data portal that you can access through the LasVegasNevada.gov/EUD facts and statistics if you'd like real-time data. To summarize, the City of Las Vegas has 11,310 dwelling units within its downtown Centennial Plan boundary, which is our greater downtown area. Approximately 37% of the units are listed as an apartment product type. The new downtown master plan estimates adding 5,500 units of various formats over the next 25 years, which will help attract quality commercial goods and services to the downtown area and its future residents. Take any questions you may have.
Okay. Oh, I'm sorry. Chair Mathis, the one that you showed us, the
Royale?
Yeah. Well, I mean, at concept 2, though. When you talked about senior facilities,
That
does
would be Oak Brook.
that mean?
That would be Oak Brook.
Okay. Okay, but when you say senior facilities, you're talking old people, you're talking, you
50
cannot.
55 and over.
55 and, okay, seniors.
Yes, seniors.
Because in my mind, I was thinking of a senior facility, that they actually were going to construct a senior facility or with another, like a side-by-side facility.
There's two towers planned. One tower is a market rate apartment, and the other tower is 55 and over for seniors. So it's senior living apartments that are being planned.
And
Go
the
ahead.
last question I'm sorry. The last question that I have was, the first ones that you showed us, the downtown, the Royale, and those apartments, condos, or you call them, townhouses. My only question was, at the bottom of each one of these facilities, there's parking? Or
Some of it is ground floor commercial, which is required in the downtown Centennial Plan area. And then you might have a stacked or a podium style parking. Others may have a separate garage completely, such as Oak Brook. They were talking about doing a completely separate garage. So it just depends on the project. Downtown 9, let me look at that rendering real quick. That's the first one. Yeah, that's this one here. Let's see how they show the parking. No, I don't have it on the rendering. But again, it's really depending on the project, how they design the parking. If they want to make it part of a podium system, similar to Soho Lofts, where you have ground floor commercial, like your garage entry, and you kind of wrap your way up to the residential, or if they have a completely separate parking area that they're going to go.
But all of them, Chair Mathis, all of them took in consideration parking.
Very
Is
much
that-
so. Residential, absolutely, yeah.
That's so important.
Yeah, especially for residents. They want to know where they're going to park.
Thank you.
Go ahead.
Member Zarowski, the proposed project at Shadow and Charleston, can you tell me, is that on the south side? Because the hospital is on the north side.
Number 7?
Uh-huh.
South side.
So,
South side.
can you
yes.
tell me what's there right now?
I think there's vacant land right now.
Okay, I know. And how many stories will that one go up, do you know?
These are in the preliminary. It just says approximately 150 plus residential units.
Okay,
So those two are in the little preliminary discussion.
Okay.
So, but keep your eye on that because we'll see more either at planning or on other meetings.
One Chair Mathis, we just needed another copy because you did not get a copy, right? Of the UNLV? Oh, you
There
do
it
have
is.
a copy. Or was it it was UNLV? Thank you.
Any other questions? Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. The next on our agenda is a report by Scott Carter, Economic Development Asset Manager, regarding an overview of the economic and urban development contract compliance process. Scott?
Scott Carter, Chairwoman Mathis and committee members. My department manages 129 active contracts, not just for the redevelopment agency, but for some of our not-for-profits. Like Symphony Park is owned by City Parkway 5, or in the medical district, we've acquired some land, not necessarily under the name of redevelopment, but economic development. We have 6 projects that were incentivized by tax increment financing. We have some raw land. I reported earlier on 1501 North Decatur. And I have a lot of visual improvement programs where property owners or the tenants did major improvements to the exterior of their buildings and received anywhere from $25,000 to a $50,000 grant. What we've set up is I have a business specialist on staff, and on a rotating basis, she personally inspects all 129 projects every 6 months. She doesn't go inside because it's private property, but she will personally go by and inspect all 129 twice a year to make sure that each project is being maintained. Now, on the visual improvement program, we put an easement against the property for 5 years. So after 5 years, that will drop off my inspection list. And then we leave it up to code enforcement to make sure that they're maintaining their buildings. And that's my report. Any questions?
And what happens if a property is not being maintained?
Good. On the visual improvement program, we have specific language in the agreement that says we have the ability, because we record an easement on the facade, to go in and actually make improvements and then lien the property or charge the property owner. That's not very pro-business. So we anticipate, we haven't encountered it yet. Everybody has done a really good job of maintaining their properties. And personally, if I received a $25,000 or $50,000 grant, I would not want to let that money go to waste. It's a great investment. We haven't encountered anybody who's not maintained their property. We want to be pro-development, so we would send out notifications of what we've observed before we go out and start making improvements.
Thank you.
On the bigger projects, like the tax increment financing, again, it hasn't been an issue. Those are more long-term contracts. World Market Center, the little condominiums, they have 20-year agreements to get a rebate on their property taxes. The rebate is directly related to the property value. If they don't maintain their properties, the property value goes down, their property taxes would go down, and the amount of the rebate would go down. So there's a direct correlation between maintaining their property and the amount of the rebate that we provide. That seems to be self-monitoring, but we still drive by and we do our inspections.
Okay. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Member Sylvan, one question on the fixing the one property. You said there's concern over if there's ground contamination and you have to abate that. Is that so you can do the abatement based on your structure, or you just have to wait for the report? When you abate water, for example, is that because of the residential that's going in, or is it because of the people that are working on it?
Good. No, the only reason we would abate the water is if when you dig down and encounter water and it starts filling the hole you dig, you have to pump it out before you can pour your footings and foundation. The water you pump out is contaminated. That's what we have to abate. If the wells don't show that Mother Nature has been breaking down the constituents that are in the groundwater, we may be required to actually pump chemicals into the groundwater upstream and then pump them out downstream and actually treat the water. But because that wasn't a requirement when this project was registered with the state as a brownfield, I don't anticipate that as part of the report. It's a risk, it's a possibility, but the reports that I've had before the groundwater dropped, before they could take a significant sample, showed that the contaminants in the groundwater were dropping. And the consultant feels strongly that we should be able to close this site. But all of it will be contingent upon the periodic sample they take over a 17-week period in order to get the final closure from the state, a final decision from the state. Is that good?
Yes, I think, yeah.
Member Mack, how are we having to vote?
I don't know. I don't remember the depths of the groundwater or the depth of the well. The plan has been presented to the state, and the state has approved the plan. I don't recall off the top of my head. They're doing 3 new wells. I don't remember how deep the wells are going. But it has to penetrate that groundwater deep enough so that there's deep enough water to get a significant sample.
Thank you, Scott. Our next agenda item is number 8, discussion regarding topics for future agenda items by the Citizens Advisory Committee to the Las Vegas Redevelopment Agency. Comments made by individual committee members shall refer solely to proposals for future agenda items, and any discussion shall be limited to whether or not any such proposed item or items within the purview of the board and or whether such proposed items shall be placed on a future agenda. No discussion regarding the substance of any such proposed topic shall occur, and no action shall be taken regarding the proposal. So at this time,
Chair Mathis, Jeff McGeechee, Economic Development for the record. In front of you, or each of you should have with you in your packet, a list of the current potential topics for the board to consider. This list has been created over time by the board through various suggestions. So this is the existing list that we have right now for your consideration or to add to at your discretion. I'll add, some of these may or may not be ready necessarily for an update by the March meeting. There's some specific items that are in progress that may or may not be at a good place to be updated. Not that we couldn't provide it, just may not be as comprehensive as you may like, assuming we can get the staff resources. Other entities are also involved with some of these things as well, and so on, but coordinating. But this is the current list that we have for your consideration.
pleasure of the committee.
Member Jones, I would love to hear Project Neon and the impact of the RTC Commission and mass transit plans. I just had a meeting today about that, so I think it would be helpful, especially when we're talking about parking and all things going on.
Chairman Atkins, so that maybe could we push, those could be two that we know for a fact we would try to hear.
Absolutely.
Any other members?
People, so this is how we treat them.
Thank you very much. We'll give you about 5 more seconds to just kind of peruse it. So, see.
I would be interested in number 1 and number 5, the downtown master plan and the 2015-100 plan prepared by UNLV's Design Center.
Okay. Comments? No? Thank you very much. We'll move on, so we have,
Jeff McGeechee for the record. I was just going to add that you don't necessarily have to decide on this right now. I mean, if you guys want to look at this, you can, provide feedback to me that I can then in turn redistribute to the board for consideration prior to the next meeting as we set the agenda for topics at the discretion of the chair. I believe is the coordinating point for the agenda. So don't feel like you missed something. We can come back to it, or if there's something you want to add. Additionally, we could do a little research and find out if, add that to the list or whatever you would like.
okay. But right now, those that were noted, 1, 4, 5, and 7, if at all possible, those would definitely be possible meeting dates for March, if at all possible. Okay, thank you. Well, number 9, citizens' participation. Public comment during this portion of the agenda must be limited to matters within the jurisdiction of the board. No subject may be acted upon by the board unless that subject is on the agenda and is scheduled for action. If you wish to be heard, give your name for the record. The amount of discussion on any single subject, as well as the amount of time any single speaker is allowed may be limited. We see none. So at this time, we are adjourned. But before we adjourn, let me just say thanks to each one of you for coming again. Thank you so much. And again, welcome, Craig. And thanks to you for always reminding us. So, we are adjourned.
Oh, I forgot to